It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone out there. That just threw me off, that little message. But anyway, because it comes up right in front of my face. Welcome, everyone. It's Soul Talk Saturday, and I'm so happy to be here with Michelle. And we're going to talk about children today, United for Saving the Children, and all the changes that need to occur in our education system and many other things as well. So, and Michelle has a background in education, middle school, I believe it is. Anyway, she can tell you that. And that's basically our topic for today, saving our children. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Gail. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry about that beginning there, but what happens on this particular platform is if you send a message to me while I'm talking, it pops up right in front of my face.
Oh no, sorry.
And it throws me off. So that's what happens.
I put it on file for future use, so I didn't forget about it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get started. You wanted to cover some of the things that you have discovered during your teaching of children and some of the things that had happened to the curriculum. I'll never forget, Michelle, the first time I saw somebody working on something that was Common Core and they were doing some kind of math problem, and I was absolutely shocked. I said, oh my God, how is anybody ever going to remember and be able to figure this? This is insane. This is what they're teaching. Are you kidding me? So why don't you take it from there? You have firsthand knowledge of it.
Oh gosh, I have a story just like that. I taught math for years. I was math certified. And yes, I did that in middle school. Before middle school, I taught elementary for a year. And after middle school, I taught high school. And after high school, I taught junior college. But I was focused on middle school for a very long time. And I taught math. Well, I tutor kids now, and somebody brought me in their homework, and I guess it was Common Core, because instead of just teaching them, add the ones, the tens, the hundreds, they were talking about hop, skip, jump, and there was this diagram going all over the place. I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes something that could be simple so, confusing.
Convoluted, and it is confusing, and it'll be next to impossible for someone to recall later on in life, I think, to be able to use it effectively.
So when I tutor kids, and I still tutor in math, I will help them do things the simple, basic way. They can show me their way, and I can tell them they can do any way that works for them. And I even promoted that when I was teaching sixth grade. I would say, show how you got to the answer, because people can have different modes of thinking and figuring things out. There's not just one way. Mm-hmm. So I encouraged, independent thinking, even in math class, because when you get to the right answer, it's the right answer. And however you think about it, that's okay. Well, so kids might come in with this convoluted stuff that, it's like this extra gobbledygook. And I will say, okay, show me how that works. And then they get all confused. And I said, I'm going to show you another way, and then you can choose whatever way you want. So I just showed them, my traditional teaching of math that I did for years. And I think in this particular problem, I was teaching them long division. And so he actually picked up on what I was doing and thought it was more simple, and he got it. And then he got the division, and it worked.
Wow. Well, there are, what else did they have in that curriculum? I mean, if the math was that convoluted, I'm sure some of the other programs were too. Can you address any of them?
I absolutely can. I was teaching high school in Oregon, and they had mandated career education. And so they would they would have a little career class in ninth grade, and then a mandated career class in 11th grade. And there was a website that they had to go to, and they had to look up all these careers and look up all the college requirements for each career. And to me, when I looked at the overall website, I thought, to me, it looks like they're either driving kids into either college or the military. And the military had a presence in our school. They were there once a week and then twice a week. They would teach in the classroom. They would recruit from right out of the school. And I felt uncomfortable, and I didn't allow the recruiters to come into my classroom, because that's something, if kids are interested, they can go to the recruiter office, which is not in the school, if they're really interested. But they weren't just they were being coerced almost. So they would give away presents and prizes and
Here we go again.
yeah, and they could do something for the weekend and get all this money. And this was a large school district, but it was rural, and a lot of them were in the lower income range. And so I remember seeing kids, and I would have them through the years. I had this one kid in ninth grade, and then he was in 12th grade, and he had signed up. And I was a little bit concerned, and I asked him, is your parents okay with this? Are your parents okay with this? And how do you feel about it? And they were just like all excited, like they bought into it,
Mm-hmm.
And and I just thought, I prayed for him, but because everybody has their own free will choice and their lessons in life. But I saw different videos and information where a lot of times the first thing people learn when they actually got to boot camp and so forth was it's not what they told you it was entirely. You know what I mean? Of course, they tell you all these good things, and then they don't.
Yeah, they don't mention the bad things, the other things that they now own you.
Yeah.
And they can make you do things that you do not want to do, unless you're very brave and you're willing to go to jail, because
Right.
that's where they'll put you if you do not comply.
Right.
They don't tell you about that. They don't give you the opportunity to negotiate anything, and they will claim there's a good reason for that.
And there was glorification of military and war. And I remember, I was visiting a class where there was a recruiter, and someone asked the guy, how many people have you killed? Like that was exciting or something. And it was.
Well, you know what? If you think about it, what do they do on those video games?
Right.
It's like they kill people, and it's a video game, so they don't take it seriously. It's just frightening.
That's part of the conditioning, for sure. So, and conditioning is a good word, because I saw kids being conditioned, and when I realized that they were funneling kids either toward college or toward the military, I said, there's a lot more than what's on this website. You could have a creative career. You could be an artist. You could be a photographer. You could own your own business. I mean, they didn't say anything about being an entrepreneur. They didn't say anything about the vocational skills. And this was when the economy was bad, around 2008, 2009. I said, let's look and see what skills would be good when the economy goes down. Think about this. People aren't going to be buying new cars as much, and they're going to be fixing their old cars. If you have a thing for cars and you're good at, auto mechanics, that could be a very lucrative skilled job to have, is fixing cars. And we had a great automotive department with a really great automotive teacher. So they actually did that at our school. And then there were also vocational classes you could take at the local community college. So I expanded their awareness beyond the curriculum that was state mandated. I augmented it with some extra information and ideas.
Did they have, in the schools that you worked in, did they have any of this drag story hour or anything of that nature?
That was before my time.
Oh, okay.
No, that was before my time, but my time was up when I saw them come in and ask us to push the H1N1 vaccine and the regular flu shot. I was already aware.
Careful with that. Yeah. Okay. But that's a truism. Yeah.
I was aware of the adjuvants of mercury, squalene, and aluminum. And I was also aware of things that you could do to build your immune system. And I remember on a whiteboard one time, I just, without really saying anything, I just made a list of all these vitamins and stuff you could take to boost your immune system. Just to have the information there.
Natural options that
Yeah.
are available. Yeah.
Yeah. But I actually couldn't, when I saw that we had this document, it was a 10 true and false thing that everybody was going to get in the school district on the same day. And my conscience would, like, the alarm bells went off. And I was like, I can't participate in this, because it said all school aged children should get both the H1N1 vaccine and.
Don't say that word, please.
Oh, okay. Well, that was on the thing, and the regular shot. That's what was on the sheet. This was 2008, 2009. And at that time, that was before, today's thing, which I didn't see coming, of course. And so what was that, like 14 years ago?
Wow.
And I wouldn't take part in that. So,
well, what happened during my past career as a nutritionist, I worked for the Women, Infant, and Children program ever so often. And they also would push that. That was part of the screening procedure.
Yeah.
And fortunately, a lot of times we didn't have a nurse available, and I certainly wouldn't do it. But anyway, because I didn't know as much then as I do now, but I still knew enough that I was trying to get my kids out of it for the longest time, and it's very difficult. I don't know if it's as difficult now, because there are people that have forged away, but that's a whole nother topic. We don't want to get into that too far. So back to critical thinking.
Yeah, I actually want to say one more thing about when I was teaching high school. So I also taught business, which included the banking system. And so in addition
for you.
I actually made my own PowerPoint presentation, and it was like the history of money, starting with trading with shells. And then it was the early, the coins and barter and everything about, exchanging things, the history. And then it did talk about the central banking system and all this stuff. And then I also talked about Lincoln and Kennedy wanting to, print money, and how they both got assassinated. And I brought up the bill 11110 of JFK for our Treasury to print our own money shortly before he was
assassinated.
Yes. I'm thinking about my words.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, that's just a fact. I don't know. Of course, we can't always say facts on these shows, because we can on Rumble and we can on Odyssey. And generally speaking, if we were going to talk about things that were censorable, that's where I would go, because there's one thing that we can do, just so you're aware of it, as well as the audience. I do have these two new YouTube channels called Freedom Range and Gail of Gaia. However, just you have to realize YouTube censors. And until that changes, whenever we're going to talk about certain subjects that are very important for you to know about, you're going to have to learn and subscribe to the uncensored channels, because you're not going to get all the information that you need to be getting on YouTube until they change their policies or their big pharma paid fact checkers.
Hopefully that's going to change soon, but because I think that's part of the overall operation to, get back into truly free speech.
Well, yeah, this is terrible. It's an abomination of free speech in this country. I've never seen anything like it, and I object. I do not consent. It's unconstitutional. It goes against the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, that's why it won't last. It won't last. But now let me go back to the education. And so I was in the, old public education. That was before all the stuff that's happening today. I got out of education, and I've always done like spiritual education, created workshops, self-discovery, self-development, that kind of thing. And so what I did was over 20 years, I wrote all these books and made these workshops and planned all these classes. And so I had very strong intuitive guidance about my life purpose, my mission. And what I got was the youth are our teachers. And I designed this program that's the Train the Trainer program. And so all of the books, events, and stuff that make up the curriculum that for spiritual education, I am putting this in a neat little package. And I'm starting, this is the most exciting announcement, I am starting the Rock My World Teen Leadership Program late summer in August. And so the Train the Trainer program is an 8-week program. And I'll tell you some of the things. It's based on true self-awareness, self-discovery. A lot of it is communication, open heart sharing, and then specific communication skills. And then also how following your conscience, trusting your intuition, reading energy, understand your feelings. Also on energy management, like you need to be able to set boundaries. You need to identify energy vampires. You need to be able to communicate, what does and does not work for you if somebody's stepping on your toes or so and so forth. And then there's the character awareness with my 48 stories for awakened awareness, critical thinking skills, including discernment and evaluation skills. I mean, a lot of people can't distinguish between an opinion and a fact. And, firsthand information from second or third hand information, or verified, vetted data, actual data. And so you need to look at different kinds and perspectives and intentions. Intentions are very important. Even when I was teaching school, I would show my students a few videos and I would say, now, whoever made this video, what was their perspective? What did they want you to think? And why did they want you to think that way? Which made them go beyond just the information, but to evaluate where the information was coming from and who it came from, and what they wanted you to think. So, and then it goes into 0-point consciousness, discovering their life purpose, and how to free your mind and be a conscious creator. So, and then they have a final project of what inspiration has led me to be and do. They keep journals, and then they go on to help teach the Ascension Mastery class, which is 12 different classes. And so, and they can, repeat those 8 weeks and get adept and then become the trainers of spiritual education. And my guidance is that we have very old souls in young bodies, and they are like amazing. And they're going to help those of us who've been, a lot of us have been programmed for many years, and we're learning to not be in victim consciousness, but that we do create our own reality. And, experiences and steps and practice and vigilance and reminders, to consciously control our thoughts and our feelings and vibrations and so forth. So Rock My World Teen Leadership. It's coming out this year.
All right, that sounds wonderful. It really does. And I don't know of very many people that teach those kinds of things to young people.
Well, this particular program I came up with totally on my own and based on, my spiritual development and things I've written and things I've been guided to write and create, actually. So I didn't even know when I was making it what the end result was going to be. It was like building up an architecture from the foundation, to the top. And it got built to the point where it's ready to go public, after over 20 years of working on the curriculum and all the things I've written that I'll use it.
Yeah, you're a very prolific writer, that's for sure. And very good writing. And most of it is in the spiritual realm, and which includes unconditional love. And I was going to ask you if you had the opportunity to listen to Isaac Mars and what you had to say about his unity theory, even though we can come to the conclusion that it's really not a theory, it's just the truth.
That's what I say. Unity is not a theory, it's a fact. However, there is a process of actually realizing the unity and having oneness awareness. There's a process because, of course, we're made to think of our self-identity as being, first of all, being physical. And then we realize we have thoughts and feelings and, we're not entirely physical. And then we realize when we discover our soul aspect and our soul intelligence, when we start doing prayer and meditation, we realize, oh, well, the physical material reality is not all there is to life. As a matter of fact, the more I explore the spiritual reality, the more real that is, and the less real the physical material reality is. So there's like a gradual shift, and that's basically the process of evolution.
Yes, well, that evolution we're now in devolution, that they're saying, in terms of our country, because the evolution of spirituality is what's really coming forward, while the devolution or demolition.
Not everybody is going down the same path. You and I are not on that path. Many people I know are not on that path of devolution. It's sort of a trap. It's a trap when people get stuck in their ego. It's a trap when people get stuck in their material or physical identity. It's a trap when people get mentally trapped. Their attention gets trapped by these institutions or by television or, stuff like that. It's a trap. And so for people to get out of the trap, the first thing they have to do is free their mind, pay attention to what they pay attention to, and start using freedom of mind consciously. We need to be conscious about where we put our attention and how we use our mind, and not just go willy-nilly like a ping pong ball and whoever draws your attention.
You brought up earlier about the fact that we create our own reality. I don't think people have a very clear understanding of that, because our reality is created largely by our thoughts. And if our thoughts have been created based on false information, and we wonder why we're creating a reality that we don't really want, but that's where all our attention is focused.
Well, think about this. Our thoughts come from our belief system. Our belief systems have been programmed. Yes. So we need to deprogram first. We were programmed to think we were limited.
Very much so. Yes.
That's the whole DNA activation, is to remove all limitations. Everything is possible. It's not just a phrase, it's the truth. And if our mind is free, and if our imagination is free, then we can practice. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I really think it needs emphasis, the fact that we create our own reality. I think both Isaac, I saw that video, and Carrie Cassidy mentioned that we create our own reality and that we're on this ascension path. And so we have a positive outlook when we see where we're going, because we can raise our vibration and increase our intelligence far beyond those that set the traps, far beyond those that are replicators of intelligence and information. A replicator is like AI. AI is not original intelligence, and it will never be, superior to original intelligence. It's a replication, and replications are never as sharp or original. And all they
They
can
don't
do.
have creative ability.
Exactly. Right. And the emotional component is a large part of our creativity. You know, in my intuition, and I think everybody could see this, if we're electromagnetic,
Yes.
when we send out love from our heart, and we love God, that divine spark within, and we're sending out love from our heart, we are creating plasma. We are actually creating the substance of reality. And when you marry that to an image consciously, then you're creating reality. And there's a scientific function called collapsing the wave function. And it's just a scientific way to use the light of consciousness. We are photonic beings, and create our reality scientifically, not as a theory, but as a fact and something that we can prove to ourselves.
That's amazing. We're finding out so many new and wonderful things. And one of the things that was said in one of the shows, and I was watching with Carrie Cassidy, and I am in total agreement with her about we need to get more truth from our so-called white hats, because the interesting part about that, after listening to her, and just like you said, and then listening to Isaac and knowing what I know, and thinking about truth. And one of the things that he said was that the antithesis to love is, of course, fear. Yeah. And in fear, we cannot evolve or expand. Our expansion is constricted instead of expanded exponentially. So as they put out more truth, as I see it, that will wake up more people, that will bring in our capabilities more quickly. And maybe that's why they're trying to hide it. Maybe that's why they're trying to let it out so slow.
Yeah. But,
I don't know. I'm just,
people are moving away from that lower vibrational energy and lower vibrational information. I think people really are moving away from that. That's why I believe that I was guided by spirit to write these books, because this is high vibrational material. It changes.
Yes, it is.
It's not just entertainment. It changes your consciousness, and it raises your consciousness, and it also reprograms your consciousness to that higher level of intelligence and awareness, which I got from doing my inner work, putting my attention within, with that inner communion. In fact, I was just reading a little lesson today in my little meditation spiritual time, and it said, when you do your communion and your meditation, and then you keep a journal and you write, and then you look back on what you wrote 10 years ago, you're going to be surprised and say, I wrote that? I did that 10 years ago? And, I read some of my own writing, and I was like, wow. So I was actually tuned in to a high vibrational frequency of information. And you can call it channeled. You can call it being attuned to the oneness of infinite intelligence. I was one with the information. I mean, I felt it coming through me. It could have been my higher self. Once or twice, I knew it was channeled. There was like a being that used language that I wouldn't normally use, but it was, coming through, very, very clearly. But everybody is going in that direction. The more we meditate, I had suggested, 5 minutes a day, and then maybe up to 15 to 20 minutes a day to start. And just that on a daily practice, it opens up your heart and soul intelligence. And things come to you. It's really like tuning into the best radio station ever. Because
Yes, because that's your divine self. I
yeah,
mean, your connection to the divine is connecting to your divine, and um,
infinite intelligence, that divine spark is one, and we all have that same connection through our inner fractal, the divine spark. We all have the same connection to infinite intelligence, every single one of us. So all you have to do is tune in, and you tune in by going within. And I put my attention in my heart, and I basically talk to God in just pure and simple language, and list my cares and concerns and ask for advice and guidance. And I do prayers, affirmations, and it feels so good. It brings me so much peace, and it changed me over the years. I realized I didn't know when I first started it was going to change me so much, but it really did change me a lot over the years. And I feel a lot more peace more often, anxiety less often. And then I have tools to get back to those, deeper, peaceful states of being because of the regular meditation, which I started like a little over 20 years ago.
I happen to know too that the more you meditate, the easier it gets to be
Yeah,
able to go there quickly. I mean, at
exactly.
first it might seem like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm not getting it. It's not happening.
Yeah,
I can't shut my mind up or something like that.
yeah.
Anyway, but you just keep at it. And
Well,
once you start getting it, you'll get it over and over again. Practice makes perfect. It's practice.
exactly. And I'll tell you what, Gail, what helped me the most is reading scriptures and spiritual information, whatever I was drawn to at the time. There's all kinds of spiritual teachers, and I think each soul is guided to whatever resonates with them. You may be you may like the Bible and that scripture. You may like the Bhagavad Gita. You might want to, look at more than one source. Like I
Oh, I
know
think people should.
Carrie,
I really do. I think that's
yeah,
important.
Carrie mentioned reading the Bhagavad Gita, studying that, and I did too.
I
And
have not.
yeah, I both the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita mean a lot to me. And also the unity of religions, because I've studied that, and people who wrote about the unity, the actual unity when it comes down to the basic spiritual truths. Um, God loves all of his children, and it's like a teacher. Kids have different learning styles, and you have to find which one fits each one. And you have to meet each person where they're at and use the style that works for them. Well, the same thing with all these different ways of becoming spiritual. Of course, no matter what religion you are, you can have a personal relationship with God or your.
You don't need religion. Religion wasn't even around when Yeshua or Jesus was around.
No, he actually promoted the direct connection, and
Yes.
he was really not pleased with the high priest and everything that dressed up in robes and got all the people's money and basically subject them to poverty while they, got all their money, and said they needed them to be the intermediary between them and God.
We have some of those today.
That's deception
TV
right
event. Yeah, TV evangelists are very guilty of that.
there. Yeah. Oh, but I wanted to say something that you were just talking about. You're talking about love or fear. And I just was reading a poem called Love or Fear. And
Well, that's
it's
coincidental.
yeah, it is a novel after all. Like I said, I still read my own stuff. I'm just going to read the first stanza. When you think for a moment, it's really quite clear. We can come from love or we can come from fear. It all sounds so simple to make the best choice. When we come from love, our souls rejoice. Anyway, there's like, 6 more stanzas
That's
there.
Yeah, that's what I love about your writing, and that's what she means when she says that you get something, a spiritual teaching out of it, really, because it's just the rhyme, the what's being said, it'll resonate. I guarantee it. Because I've read a number of them. I haven't read every one, but I certainly have read enough of them to be able to say that with confidence. They're very good, and they're uplifting.
I put spiritual principles in a lot of different formats. So I have the 3 books that I published last year, and then I have presentations for workshops, and then I have also classes. So I have classes and books. Oh, and by the way, I also do individual readings, so I can read souls and individual blueprints and do readings, which I've done more lately, and it's been really helpful. I've sort of been called and guided to start doing that more during this time, because a lot of people are awakening and going through changes. And when you're going through changes and challenges, that's a really good time to get a reading. Even if you're tuned in yourself, it's good to get validation, confirmation, and maybe some higher level information about your soul and your guides and your life purpose and stuff like that.
Yes, it definitely is that time, because the other thing that's happening with people, because all of us are going through these changes, we're having people that are having issues with the relationships that they're in as well, or some of the relation. It's like, I can't talk to my family about what I know because they'll get mad at me, or they get triggered, or these different things. There's a lot of going on in that regard, and
I have a class called Star Seeds and Light Warriors every Thursday, and it's been attracting those kind of people. There have been people coming in saying, I don't have anyone, in my family or in my area that I can
I
talk
don't have anybody I can talk to. Yeah.
And they come there and they just light up, and we just get on the same page and, talk about these different things. And they're just amazed, that there are people that are
Is
tuned.
this an in-person class, or is this? Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah,
It
we
is.
don't have
I
enough of
could do- I
those. We
could
need
do a
more of
Zoom
those.
class.
Yeah.
I'm going to do more Zoom classes. I'm developing some online education programs, and I'm just doing a lot right now.
Yeah, it sounds like you don't sleep much. But anyway, making lessons and doing that type of thing is the nature of your career. Really, it's just that you have directed it in a spiritual direction, which is a wonderful thing, and it's
That's
something that's been missing from schools forever.
yes.
I mean, I didn't ever get anything like that when I was in school. In fact, in order to, if you were utilizing your imagination by looking out the window, then you weren't paying attention and you were in trouble. That kind of thing. I mean,
I've heard stories like that. Yeah, but you know what? When it comes to being a teacher, I was not normal. I'm not normal. But I mean, one of my favorite students, she was like a straight F student, but she had the best personality, and she just loved me. And we used to laugh a lot, and I just loved her. And I remember, I mean, I just loved my students. And I think that was more important than teaching them, to tell you the truth.
well, probably might be getting more love from you than they get at home. You never know.
Well, in some cases, I think that was spot on. But yeah, so I went into a school that I had taught at formerly to see a teacher, and she happened to be in the class, and they were taking a math test, and so I was trying to go in quietly, and she saw me, and she got up and screamed, Miss Engel, and she came up and hugged me, and so it's not even about they just all have their unique abilities and unique things. And I used to have this folder, and let's see, what did I call that thing? Oh, it was like a success folder. And so they got to put in their successes and talk about them. So I was pointing out the fact that it wasn't just academic success, that made you feel good about yourself or that you could talk about, but any success. Like if some boy was on a baseball team and he won a baseball and he got home runs, and he could write about that and put it in his success folder and tell the class about it. And so, You know, you didn't have to be like the A student to be, you know, special, because I just taught them everybody's special in their own way. Everybody's their own special brand of genius. And so you just bring out the best in people.
That's
Like,
when we look into their heart and their divine essence,
mhm.
which we haven't always done in the past. And we made people feel alienated. And so, and I'm not talking you or me personally, but that's what happens to people. I've seen it.
Yeah, well, and that's why I'm creating this spiritual and leadership education for young people, because they need to have these opportunities. They need to be able to, you know, find out more things that are available to them and discover what's within themselves. Not how great everybody else is, but how
Yeah.
great they are.
And that sets up a competition thing, or or an inferior or superior type thing, because they're doing all this and what have I done? I haven't done that,
Well,
or I'm
exactly. Comparison, instead of realizing, which is what I taught, everybody's unique. Everybody has their own talents, skills, and interests. Everybody has their own gifts. That's how I come from as a teacher. Everybody has special gifts and talents and interests and has a life purpose. I mean, whether you're young or old, you know, it doesn't matter how old you are, everybody's a soul and everybody has their own gifts. And a lot of adults are just now discovering their gifts because, you know, we never had this kind of education before, you know,
yeah.
unless you went to spiritual workshops or whatever. And it was specifically geared toward that, but that's rare and you had to seek it out. It wasn't.
And many of us spend a lot of years being indoctrinated by organized religion.
Mm-hmm.
Which had some good elements in it here and there, but wasn't really truthful.
Yeah, when the dogma got mixed in, and when people would be judgmental and weren't really expressing unconditional love,
Exactly.
there was a lack of integrity between speaking about it and actually living it and embodying it and being it.
I used to call Christians hypocrites all the time because of that. I mean, they go to church and say one thing and come out and they're judging everybody, including people who have fallen on hard times, as if they're bad people because they're of what's happened to them. And it's so
well,
bad.
Our evolution involves going through things ourselves, and we can go through a lot of hard times and
been there.
Compassion for ourselves and other people, gain compassion, gain the ability to accept, forgive, understand, have compassion. It takes practice to really be like that all the time. And it's lifelong learning. It's lifelong learning to be that way and to really, really, really embody it all the time. We always have ways that we can improve ourselves and evaluate our own self instead of being in competition. We can be in competition with our own self in terms of how we used to be and where we're growing. Where we're going is where we're growing. And so we're always growing toward our own highest ideals, developing our conscience, being better and better, seeing where we can improve. And that's the lifelong learning. And then discovering gifts. And then we change from being selfish and service to self to being selfless and serving to others. And instead of taking, we want to be givers. And when we find out our gifts, when we find the infinite source within, heaven within, the divine spark, energy is all infinite and free. When you find that infinite source, there is no lack, there is no competition, there is no greed, there's no need for it. Life is eternal. There's no death. There's no need to fear. When you really reach that place, you grow out of all those old ideas that are limiting and become that broader, expansive self and can reach that well. It's like a well, it's like a treasure that never ends. And you can get, inspiration and ideas and energy and creativity. And man, I think that when Yeshua said, it's that treasure that you would sell everything for, that field, that treasure that you would sell everything for. That's it. That's heaven within. And that's that divine spark and our very source of love, our very source of being.
I think too, one of the things that's happened in the more recent um, times, that people have been able, I don't know if it's because some of the frequency barriers or fences have come down, but people, if they're serious about connecting with their creator, they can, and they will know it if they can get their mind quiet and listen. And it might not happen that same exact day. It might come to you later in a day or so, and you'll be inspired, and you'll have all of a sudden you'll know something, or you'll be drawn to something, or there'll be some coincidence in your life. And that's what you can look forward to just by doing this type of thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the key is innocence. As the saying goes, God says, come to me as a child. A child is innocent. And if you actually just go to God and sincerely say, you're honest with your feelings, and that's innocence. You're honest with your true feelings and say, here's how I feel, and just confess it inside yourself. You have to be honest with yourself before you can be honest with other people. And that pure innocence, that pure relaying of your feelings, that's the language of the soul, your feelings. And when you can be honest about your feelings, not judge them or anything, just say, here's how I feel, and this is bothering me, please help me. This is my concern, please help me. Because you're humble when you're asking, that, you don't know the answer to everything. And when you're asking for answers, you are being humble. And when you are being honest with your feelings, you are going to God like an innocent child. And that opens the doors of your heart, and it touches God's heart. And I mean, you can get instant response just coming from that pure, innocent place within.
Most definitely. And we have a great responsibility right now toward our children. There are things that are going on that many people don't know about, and we're not going to talk about it necessarily on this show in any depth because of the censorship. But there are some things that are happening, and we have to tend to our children.
When we talk about consciously creating reality, we can have visions of seeing kids in these environments when they're like in nature schools, when they're being protected and comforted. We can, in our mind's eye, we can see them being, rescued or taken from some bad environment into a good environment in our mind's eye, because we're showing intent, we're using our willpower, we're showing spirit, get these kids out of this situation, put them into this situation, pray for the angels to surround them with love and to lift them up and to protect them. Start with prayer. Prayer is always effective. Start with prayer and a vision of, it's what I call vision lifting, and I talk about it a lot. Instead of focusing on what the bad condition is, lift them out of that condition in your mind's eye and put them in a new condition. And I'll think of kids that might be in some bad condition, and I'll pretend that I'm lifting them up and I'm putting a blanket around them, and I'm just like holding them with love. And basically I'm sending them love from my heart, and all of this is quantum consciousness. The actual love energy does go to them and to all the people and to all the kids that need it. And then I see them, nurturing them like a mother, feeding them healthy food, getting them together to explore and play games and be creative. I mean, I really think about getting kids from, whether it's from the worst, which I'm not going to say what that is, to the corrupted, degenerate situations, and sometimes, which is actually some of the certain school situations, and taking them out of there and putting them in our mind's eye. It starts in our mind. We are creators, and just seeing the children in these different environments where they're happy, they're healthy, they're protected, they're creative, they're nurtured, they're loved, they're well fed, well cared for. And that's I'm doing things with my mind and with my heart. And then also action, because I'm creating this new education. That just happens to be my life purpose, my life mission, and that is to create a new holistic education and give them new opportunities.
That's wonderful. We need more of that. And that's the whole education system is going to have to change. Just like, what did they say? Doctors are not about health, lawyers are not about law, teachers are not about education. I mean, it goes down every single department, every single area of our life has been corrupted, infiltrated,
Those are
and
those are the old institutions which are dissolving, which is part of God's divine plan,
that's
the
right.
changing of the guard, out with the old, in with the new. And when we talked about rebuilding, that's what I was talking about. Like, I am watching what's going on. I'm watching what's dissolving. I'm taking action where I can, but I am rebuilding for the new world and the new education and creating some education that will make the old education obsolete. That there was a Buckminster Fuller quote about that. You don't have to tear down the old system, just make a new system that makes the old system obsolete. That's what I'm doing. When these opportunities are available to kids, parents are already looking for new opportunities right now. And so I'm just now putting it out there. I'll see how many people sign up. And I didn't even tell you the name of it. So Rock My World is part of this whole education curriculum that I'm making. It's called Follow Your Heart Education. And I created a Give, Send, Go, givesendgo.com/follow your heart education. And that's where people can support this work and help replace the older, sort of corrupted, less holistic education into a more heart-based, God-centered, personal self-discovery, really, and discovering their true potential and the true genius inside. And then it's going to be multi-generational, but I'm training it's a teen leadership program. So they're going to be train the trainer. So they're going to be spiritual leaders, and they're going to do a multi-generation ascension program.
Okay. I just put your Give, Send, Go link.
Oh, thank you.
In the chat. We both have financial needs, and but if you want to help with that specific program for teenage kids, that's where you would send. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Also, when you go there, it will describe the program, and there's a link to my website, which is visionarysolutions4smile.org. Just go to the other link, and you'll be connected to the visionarysolutions4smile.org website, and it lists all the classes and all the details.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't list all of that in the description.
No,
but
you get to it from that link that you put up.
Yeah, I put the links that should take them there. I put the links you sent me, in addition to my links, because I'm there too. But this doesn't.
Yeah. Let me promote buying you a coffee.
How about buying you a coffee? Buy her and I a coffee. We can coffee clutch online. No,
yeah,
I'm just kidding. But we do need help with this stuff, because it takes time and energy and there hasn't been any improvement at this point in time anyway. We're still waiting for the financial situation to flip, so it's not an issue anymore.
Yeah,
that would be so wonderful. None of us like to be asking for donations and things of that nature.
Well, I'm actually proud of you and me and other people like us that are, so our life purpose, our life mission, we're doing it right now. We're not waiting for the funds, for the humanitarian project funds. We're already doing it. you're already bringing people information through this channel, and your channel is great. You have a great channel. It's gonna be more and more successful. I just know it. And you have great people on. I watch your videos, the water video, the last few people you've had on, Dr. Anna, you have
Oh,
Carrie.
she was great. In fact, I'm going to promote her on this. Thank you so much, Michelle. I try my best to bring people on that I know have information that will help people, and that it's the kind of information they're not getting from mainstream media. But not Dr. Anna. A lot of people may not know her name, and so I'm glad you brought her up. She hasn't gotten as many views as she should. If you haven't seen that video, you really should watch it.
Well, let me
What?
say something about it, because when it looks like, oh, you're interviewing Dr. Anna. Well, I didn't realize there was a spiritual component there. She is extremely spiritually founded and based and knowledgeable. And I could relate to so much of what she said. I'm aware of that Ramtha school. I'm aware of those activities that they did. I'm aware of Tom Bearden. She said she read every one of
Yes, I am too. Yeah, he was
Yeah. And
something
so
else.
she's a wealth of information, and she's a warrior.
Oh boy, she's a warrior. Yes, she is, and you need to watch her and support. I think people, just because she's not been out. I mean, I don't know how much she's been out there, but she's been coming up with some things that other people are not even doing, and
Yeah.
reporting on it, and it's a wonderful thing. And so don't miss it. You really should watch it. I hope to have her on again. She's hard to get on. It's it was probably a month and a half before I could even get her
Yeah.
on.
What's good about her and what's good about Carrie Cassidy as well, they both have information. They know what's going on in the world, but they both have a very strong spiritual component, and I think that
Yes,
I really think that they work hand in hand. I've done a lot
I
of
do too.
research and rabbit holes, but my main foundation is spirituality. But they work hand in hand. If I didn't have the discernment from my spiritual work, I probably wouldn't have been as magnified to the truth, or wanting to really seek the truth as much. But when you get spiritual, you become an avid truth seeker. And you gain that discernment, critical thinking skills, your intuition comes in, you get help from other dimensions. And, you
I
know,
remember when I first started into this, it's like I couldn't get enough of it. I was just, once I started finding a few things out, all of a sudden I was looking up everything, and I'm going, oh my God, oh my God. It was because so much has come out, and it's coming out now at such an
I went
exponential
through
rate.
that period too. I wouldn't be able to go to bed at night. And I was teaching high school, and I
Uh,
would like stay up till the wee hours and then not get much sleep and have to get up and go to school. But it was worth it. It was worth it because there was just so many good people putting together good information, whistleblowers, people banding together, and showing videos, showing documents, showing actual evidence of truth, not opinions. Which I'm a very practical, pragmatic person. I like science. I like to see the facts, and I understand science. So I'm really fact based, science based, and spiritually based, and those all work together actually.
yes, they definitely do, and I can vouch for that too. And I have an element of that as well. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
and it's so exciting, really, to be um, alive at this time during this paradigm shift. It's just incredible, and if people aren't out there and involved, you need to get there and play a role. Everybody has a role. Everybody.
And I will have to say, as I mentioned, those people come to my class, Star Seeds and Light Warriors, and another my other class, meditation and manifesting. And people are coming to those classes. They're looking for like-minded people. So wherever you are, you can find like-minded people and get together and face-to-face, or, I guess there's Zoom meetings too. But, find the people that resonate, and pray about it. Pray to find friends that resonate with what you know and where you're at and your vibration. And God and the angels, your guides, they will bring you to people and new friends. It's very natural to move toward friends that you resonate with nowadays, and find there's a lot of new groups of friends and family of friends and soul friends that are coming together right now. So just, pray about it, follow your guidance, unite with, souls that resonate with you. People that are here on these channels, you can send us emails, you can start talking to us, anything you want.
Yes. And just, I don't even know what to say, except that open your heart, live in the now, and know that the best is yet to come.
That's right.
As we get more truth and we get more activated with our DNA, we're going to be very powerful beings.
And there's more and more love in the world right now. More and more love in the world. I feel it. We've been purified. You're the expert now. You're the expert. You're the best. You're better than me.
Well, I don't. No comparisons, please. Because you're wonderful in your own right, and so am I. If we can believe that about ourselves. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, so yes, more love in the world, more kindness, more understanding, more acceptance. I really love what Isaac said about acceptance. Acceptance is really the door. And I wrote about that in my book, Live Love. There's several pages on acceptance. It's a very big key in our spiritual awakening, being able to accept people. Let me see. I think I have that.
That would be good to read before we bring this to a close, because I think it is very important. And I would like to revisit it for that reason. And I'm sure people will appreciate it as well, because acceptance is very important.
Oh, let's see. Okay. I didn't actually have my bookmark in that page, but I will find it. My bookmark. Oh, here it is. I got it. Okay, so I have this little I have this little chart. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll just tell you what it says.
Yeah, I remember that page, but I don't. We can't see it that well. But
I'm just going to tell you, on one part, on one end, it's separation. The separation part is resistance, tolerance, and forgiveness. Then in the very middle, it's 0 point. 0 point is acceptance. That is the door to go into unity and wholeness. When you go through the 0 point door of acceptance, then you go into understanding and compassion, love, and then pure unconditional love. And that's where we're headed. Pure unconditional love. We can forget about anything that separates us or divides us in our minds or in any way. We don't need to fall for any of that, because deep down, we all are children of God. We have that divine spark within us, and we all go through things and we have different experiences so that our soul can learn from them. And if we can accept each other, even in these times where, it seems that some are trying to divide us very much, unity is the thing. So I'll just read one thing. When there is a negative charge, you sense separation from the whole. The more you feel love, the more you feel the bond of unity and wholeness. Acceptance is just noticing the facts objectively without any charge, without any emotional charge. You can lose the charge by changing your perception or your point of awareness. As soon as you notice that you are not feeling peace and harmony, you can consciously shift your perception of the moment. And you do it by putting yourself in the observer role. And so it goes on to just explain, but there's these tools and techniques in the book. It doesn't just say do something. It shows how to do something, and it gives you something to chew on and think about and try out and stuff like that. So the books are very helpful, and I just thank God and glory to God in the highest, and all my guides and angels that have helped me bring that information through, which, like I said, I also read it and study it so that I can really embed it and embody it in my soul so that I can come from that highest place, at all times.
And you have some great books there as learning tools for people that will really help them open up spiritually and otherwise. And I would encourage you to look up her books. And one of the things that I'd like to say that I think is so interesting now, and I'm going to put it in the chat. Are you familiar with the term in Lakesh?
Yes, I've heard that before. I hadn't heard it in a while. Yes, I have.
Yes, and I'm going to put that in the chat with its meaning, because when we look at people and we want to accept them, just remember this: you are the other me.
Mm-hmm.
Look for the divine in whoever you're interacting with. And remember, they do have a divine spark, even if they're maybe not acting right at the moment. But anyway, just bear that in mind. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And that's how we're connected, because we all are part of each other. We're like,
that's a good reminder. And
come from the same.
We just need reminders a lot until we anchor in that consciousness, and it becomes, our, baseline state of consciousness. Our new baseline state of consciousness is going to be that higher vibration of recognizing the oneness of spirit, and that we are reflecting each other and we are one in spirit.
Well, fantastic. I don't know if you have any more for this Soul Talk Saturday, but if you do, go ahead. Otherwise, we can call it a day, and thank everyone for listening.
I just want to say a blessing for everyone here who's listening. Beautiful. And this is spontaneous. It just came to me.
Cool. Go for it. I love
it. Dear Mother, Father, God, I just wish to send love and clearing energy to all people who are watching this show right now, and let them open their heart and let them feel that they are surrounded by and lifted up by all the arms of the angels, and that they are receiving love at all times, opening to receive, asking for help and receiving help. We are never alone. We are all connected. We are all strengthened by the unity of love that we are, and the reminder that you are loved unconditionally, exactly as you are, and everything's going to be all right. Thank you.
Thank you too. Everything's going to be all right. I just saw a little cute song by a young boy. I wish I had it loaded up because I would play it. But thank you, everyone. We'll see you again next week. And I hope you enjoy this Soul Talk Saturday. Thank you.
God bless you.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are, and like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our